What's up, everyone? Tera Roberts here with FantasyPros, bringing you players to cut for Week 3. But before we get started, if you want a chance to win a signed Derrick Henry Tennessee Titans jersey courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction, you need to subscribe to the FantasyPros YouTube channel right now, comment on this video below, and that's it. We will be announcing the winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Now let's go ahead and get started and dive right in. We'll start off with players to cut in deep leagues of 10 teams or more. First up, Kenyan Drake. Between Kenyan Drake, Justice Hill, and Mike Davis, Ravens running back saw 14 carries on 28 yards. The running game simply doesn't exist beyond Lamar Jackson, and we continue to wait for the return of J.K. Dobbins. There's just absolutely no point in rostering Kenyan Drake. The Ravens are choosing to run the offense through Lamar Jackson, and judging from the statistics, it's probably the better choice. Drake has no value currently and will somehow have even less value when Dobbins does return to the field. Next up, Isaiah McKenzie. In past years, the Buffalo slot receiver role has been very worthy of a roster spot. And out of Bills receivers, McKenzie is technically seeing the most snaps in the slot, but not by a significant margin in a way that he can make an actual fantasy impact. He's seen 2 receptions on 3 targets for less than a 50% snap count in each game. And even with Gabe Davis out in Week 2, increased opportunities just seem to flow to Stephon Diggs. Diggs' early season usage is leading the NFL for all receivers, and if this continues, there just won't be consistent usage for lower-end receivers, and McKenzie will never be a player that you feel comfortable starting or streaming. Next up, Romeo Dobbs. It was so much fun watching Romeo Dobbs put on a show during training camp and preseason, and it was definitely worth a shot to take a late-round stab in drafts to see if he could pay off. But at some point, you have to cut your losses. Dobbs is a promising talent. But when I spoke about the Green Bay offense heading into the season, we talked about the reality that this offense will just flow through the running backs who are trustworthy, solid on the ground, and proven pass catchers. Aaron Rodgers just doesn't typically trust or lean on rookie receivers. In Week 1, with Allen Lazard out, Dobbs had 4 receptions on 5 targets for 37 yards on a 57% snap count. And with Lazard back in Week 2, that count went down to 37% and 2 receptions on 3 targets for 27 yards. Dobbs needs time to grow in the offense. If you're in a 14-team league and can afford to wait and see if this pans out, I can understand. But 12-team leagues or lower just need to move on. Hunter Henry. With Hunter Henry, there's not a lot to talk about. The stats speak for themselves. Mac Jones is 19th in total pass attempts through 2 weeks with 65 attempts. Jacoby Myers is currently 17th in total targets in the NFL with 19 targets. Myers is seeing nearly 30% of the team's targets. Hunter Henry, who also has to split workload with Jonnu Smith, has seen 4. Yes, that is 4 total targets. This offense just isn't set up to provide Henry with any opportunity to be successful. And I don't see that changing unless there were an injury to Jonnu Smith. But even then, Myers would be the clear target hog in this offense. You just need to cut your losses and find a streaming option on a high-powered offense like Hayden Hurst, or guys commanding a solid target share on their offense like Tyler Conklin. Isaiah Spiller. Isaiah Spiller had a time period in draft season where many thought he would be the handcuff and heir apparent to Austin Eckler. But it's time to take a hard look at reality. The Chargers signed Sony Michel after he was cut from the Dolphins. They also gave third-year back Joshua Kelly another try as a backup as well. And for some very strange reason, they also tend to be very fond of giving rookie fullback Xander Horvath goal line looks. And Isaiah Spiller is nowhere to be found. I think the Chargers are fine with the options that they have at running back, and Spiller may not even be active. An odd amount of fantasy managers are holding on to Spiller, and at this point, you're just wasting a roster spot. It's time to let him go. Kadarius Tony. I do read and appreciate comments from all of you watching the video, and with last week's video, a lot of you said you were not ready to move on from Kadarius Tony, and I can understand that. He's very talented and it's tough to let go. But are you ready to move on now? In week 2, Tony played 38% of snaps, catching 2 of his 3 targets for 0 yards. And he is dealing with a hamstring injury. Tony has a bad combination of terrible injury luck and clear dislike from the current Giants regime. And the Giants will likely want to work in Wan'Dale Robinson when he's more healthy as well. I just don't see Tony finding consistent looks in this Giants offense. Moving on to shallow leagues with 10 teams or less. First up, Isaiah Pacheco. While I love Isaiah Pacheco and certainly think he has potential and will continue to have a role in this offense, I just don't think his role will give strong fantasy production. And I don't think he's actually the direct handcuff in terms of fantasy production to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So let's break down why. The work on the ground for CEH hasn't exactly been significant. He's seen less than 10 carries per game. It's his receiving work that continues to carry him through. And this is working out extremely well for Kansas City and should continue. In the event that CEH gets hurt, the pass catching benefit that he sees would go to Jerick McKinnon, making McKinnon the back to roster over Pacheco. We may not like it, but that's the reality here. Pacheco's upside is capped, and in shallow leagues, he just isn't worthy of a roster. Devonte Parker. The main reason why I would cut Parker in shallow leagues is very similar to what we talked about with Hunter Henry. Jakobi Meyers has nearly a 30% target share in a team that just doesn't pass for high volume. So the end result is pass catchers outside of Meyers are just inconsistent and unreliable. For the second week in a row, Parker has seen only 2 targets. This week he had 0 receptions. I get that he has a high snap count and you want to roster guys that are on the field to have a legitimate chance at targets, but Parker's usage is concerning, and unless New England makes significant changes to their offense, Parker will never be someone who you actually want in your starting lineup. Sky Moore. It wasn't wrong to take a stab at Sky Moore in drafts. Moore was a talented prospect drafted in the 2nd round and landed on a team with no actual wide receiver 1. But I don't think this is a situation where you hold him and wait it out for back half of the season production as he gets acclimated to the NFL. I wouldn't count on this being an Amon-Ra St. Brown situation. In week 1, Moore saw a 19% snap count and caught his only target for 30 yards. In week 2, that snap count was reduced to 4% with no targets. In Amon-Ra St. Brown's first 2 games of his last season, St. Brown had above a 60% snap count and a minimum of 4 targets. So it's a very different situation. On top of that, the Chiefs have been very clear that they are spreading targets around multiple options in the receiving core plus the running backs, and they are not committed to having one guy be that guy. So if that's the case, and Moore still can't see action on the field, it's not an indication that this is heading in a positive direction. Thanks for watching this video. And a reminder, if you want a chance to win a signed Derrick Henry Tennessee Titans jersey courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction, you need to subscribe to the FantasyPros YouTube channel right now. Comment below on this video and that's it. We will be announcing the winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize.
Thanks for tuning in to the FantasyPros YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our featured videos. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at FantasyPros, so you can get the latest news and updates to give you the edge you need in your fantasy league.